Today's Friday, episode 4. Every Friday, I talk about my transition starting around about age 20. Before I start, I want to remind you, my 100th YouTube subscriber will receive a free gift, free shipping around the world for free. My name is Jessica Madden. On my channel here on YouTube, I help people grow and succeed like I've succeeded in my life. I share those tips. And I share those means of success which I learned along the way of this amazing journey of my life. Today's Friday, episode 4, my transition. I want to make something very clear before I start today. I want to make myself very clear. I have no regrets and I have no feelings of guilt for anybody who was affected by me along the way of this journey. Like I've said before in previous videos, we are incarnations. Every one of us are incarnations of a previous incarnation. In other words, we are contracted and we sign up to whatever we go through in this life. I want that to be very, very clear so that people don't think I have feelings of shame, regret, or guilt, because I have no feelings of shame or regret or guilt. That's something I want to put out there very clearly. Second thing I want to put out there is that I take full responsibility for my life. I control every single part of my life, and nobody is responsible for me. Those 3 things I want to put out there. Now I'm going to begin. So last week we spoke about when I used to sneak my way out of the house and get to a secular Jewish therapist. It wasn't easy. It was quite challenging and it was quite scary. Getting out of the house, going to a secular Jewish therapist was very scary. And at times I was like, literally, the fear of it was not just fear, it was fear within a fear within a fear within a fear. Literally, it was like bubbled up into 3 different segments, 3 different levels of fear. But I'm not going to go into that today. I've spoken quite clearly about that last week on episode 3. Today's episode 4, and I'm going to start talking about what happened very shortly after I went to a secular Jewish therapist. My diligence in my Jewish studies gave way. That was it. I couldn't do it anymore. It gave way. I gave up. I said, I'm not doing it 16 hours daily, 18 hours on Saturday. I pretty much took it down to 0. I basically was like, that's it. I'm not engaging in heavy studies. It's not working. It didn't work. And I basically gave way. That was it. I gave up on that. I stopped being intense in my studies. I just couldn't hold on to it any longer. So that gave way. I remember at the time going to the airport, seeing off someone I knew. I then went into one of the stores in the airport to buy Dan International's latest album. At the time, Dan International won the Eurovision contest for Israel. It was a massive celebration in Israel. So just so you could get like the dilemma that was going on and the confusion, because Israel's a tiny. At the time I was in Israel. Israel's a tiny little country. And on the one hand, you have the ultra-Orthodox, and on the other hand, you have the secular. And they were literally coming forward. They were moving forward. They were progressing because Dan International won the Eurovision. Whereas in the ultra-Orthodox Jewish community, where I was bubbled in, I bubbled myself in there. And there was no such thing as that Dan International just won. Nobody knew, nobody cared, nobody spoke about the fact that the Dan International just won the Eurovision contest. And I remember going into I was obviously a little bit more progressive already at the time. I was listening to the radio. And I remember going into a store in duty free in the airport. I'd gone to see somebody off. And I remember buying the Dan International Dan International CDs, one of the CDs she put out. It was literally like sneaking through a tunnel, buying the CD, and then getting into a taxi and taking it home. I had to hide it. I remember I put it within a pocket, so to speak. I covered it in a bag, and in a pocket, so that it shouldn't be discovered in any way. It was very interesting because on the way home in the taxi, Dan International was on the radio at the time. Wherever you went, Dan International was playing. And the taxi driver was playing Dan International on his radio. Secular Israelis were really excited over Dan International's win. And my goodness, the irony was pretty interesting, pretty poignant and pretty striking. That's the right word. Just to carry on that point, I wasn't doing my studies anymore. I had a business at the time, and I was quite intense making sales with my business at that. And I remember at the time I would lie, like when I had free time, I would lie in bed at night, torn between two worlds, literally torn between two worlds. That's how it felt. Torn between guilt for thinking and guilt for existing, quite literally. It was guilt for thinking, guilt for existing, believing that I'm insane as well. That feeling of believing I'm insane and like telling myself to get the stupidity out of my head was an ongoing tug of war, which I really confronted with, not just at that time, but at that time was pinnacle, because I left my Diligence Jewish studies, and so it became really, really strong, and the current was really, really increasing in its pace and its speed. So at the time, my studies were pretty much a thing of the past by then, and I think all I think about was, like I said, I think about making money. I was then going to movie theaters, the cinemas, because that was one way I found that I was able to rip myself away from sort of like reality, because reality was so scary for me. My life was almost like an intense, scary drama movie, action movie almost. So I would literally take myself off to the movie theater practically 3 or 4 times a week. And I was quite wealthy at the time, so that was like no big deal at all. I was making a lot of money at the time, so it wasn't a big deal to go to the movie theater. I took a taxi to the movie theater, I took a taxi home, no big deal at all. I had friends at the time, and those friends would come me to the movie theater as well. It was a way of getting out of my mindset and not living in that dilemma. I then left Yeshiva, the religious college, and I got a job. It was liberating, but it just didn't appear like I was able to deal with a living internal war. So I got a job at the time, I remember, and that didn't settle things yet. But it was like going to another reality, because I was out of this intense diligent studies. Being amongst secular Jews sort of gave me more of a handle on myself, but it was still a tug of war. I remember at the time I would think to myself, even at the time I would think to myself, why the hell did God choose to give me this insane predicament? I would be like, no thank you. I really don't want to have this dilemma. I don't want this internal struggle. There was still nowhere to turn. No one other than one friend I had to discuss these issues. And he couldn't offer very much either. So there was that internal war which was still going on. And like I said, it's my journey, and I've signed up to it before I came into this incarnation. I very, very much believe that. I'll put that out there whenever I could. I believe in incarnation. I very much believe I contracted to this internal struggle. And it's very freeing. It's actually very liberating when you think about your life in that way. And I really believe it's true as well. So it was a deep internal struggle. It was turmoil. And, this lapse, actually, and I thought I'd point out that this lapse of leaving intense Jewish studies just didn't last for long, because I remember certain means of elevation and certain means of alleviating the pain which I felt when I was studying Torah, etc. I remember that, and I wanted it back. I said, Jessica, this didn't work either. Leaving Jewish studies, not sitting analytically over Jewish texts, is something I miss. I want that back. And that was after I had been to bars, I'd been out with friends, different places, and I really experienced the secular world, but it wasn't giving me that means of fulfillment. It wasn't helping me to alleviate the pain of the dilemma. So therefore, about 8 months after I left my Jewish studies, I was back into Yeshiva, studying. On this time, my study partner was the Rosh Yeshiva. So I was a study partner of the Rosh Yeshiva. Just imagine that. And that was like my way of saying to myself, Jessica, I got you locked in now. I've got you. You're in my crutch. That's what I told myself. I can't even describe to you how deeply triggering that was. And I thought worth pointing out that, sorry, I'm joking up a bit. It was an internal war. It was literally an internal war. It was grappling with my reality. So the dean of the yeshiva, the Rosh Yeshiva at the time, of religious college, being his study partner, made it all very intense. I'd wake up at 7 a.m. and we'd study halacha quite intensely. And I remember at the time I was very diligent and I was really aiming for heights once again. And shortly after, sure enough, marital prospects were coming up. And Rosh Yeshiva was a very pushy guy. And he'd say, marital prospects, no, you can't give it up. And I'd say, no, thank you, I'm good. Rosh Yeshiva started pushing for marital prospects. The talk of the internal war, the dilemma, was back at its peak. That's where I'm ending today. I will carry on next week, talking about that tug of that internal war, which was at its peak, being Rosh Yeshiva, the dean of the yeshiva, the religious college, being his study partner, and he said, time to find a marital prospect. To continue at that point next week. That's my message today. Episode 4. Next week is episode 5. I'm doing a total of 10 episodes on this concept, on this issue, on this subject. Remind you once again, if you press that subscribe button, you can see my videos right away, ASAP, when they come out. Also reminding you that when you press subscribe, you gotta press the bell as well to see the videos as they come out all the time. That's a new shtick that YouTube has incorporated. Also reminding you that if you press a like on my video, I'd be really grateful for that. And if you don't like my video, there's also the down button, but I'm sure you love my video. Also reminding you that you can leave a comment down below. Whatever your thoughts are, please leave them down below. And also you can also contact me, connect with me on Facebook, Jess Maden, on Instagram, Jess Madn, on LinkedIn, it's Jessica Madden, and on my email account is jessica17741@gmail.com. If you have anything you want to point out, any comments, what you think about my videos, episode 4 so far, whatever you think about it, please contact me and let me know what you think. That's my message today. I think we're getting quite intense into quite a almost like a turning point in my journey to be discussed next week. Like I said before, I take full responsibility for my journey, but I take no guilt or shame for anybody who was affected along the way. If you like my video, press the like button. I look forward to seeing you in my next video. I remind you once again, the 100 YouTube subscriber will receive a free gift to be shipped around the world for free. Join my success story. Looking forward to seeing you in my next video.